Hello, mathematicians, and welcome to circles and our Pyrotechnician project. So, you should have learned before this video how to write the equation of a circle. And since we have three lovely circles right here, we are going to find the equations of our circles, okay? So, in the last video, I talked about how there's two ways I can present a problem. Either I give you the information, the center and the radius, or I give you a graph. Looking at this one here, you should be able to deduct that this is the case when we have a graph. But in order to have a graph, we need to have axes, right? So what I want you to do is on this side of your paper, I want you to draw your y-axis. So as you see right here, I drew it in gray. And then your x-axis. Don't forget to mark them, x and y. Now, when you do that, I want you to notice that on mine, I created the little ticks at every 3 squares. I did not do every single little square. Now, why is that? I did this intentionally because looking back at my scale, every 3 squares is 100 feet. So to make my life easier when we're going to multiply in a little bit, I'm going to do it every 3 squares. So you should do the same. If your scale is every 2 squares is 50 feet, then I recommend you do it every 2 squares. If yours is every 5 squares is 1,000 feet, then do it every 5 squares and so on, okay? So go ahead and do your ticks on your x-axis. It's okay if you mess up. I messed up a couple times. And on your y-axis, okay? This is important because remember that our center is a point and these axes help us find that point. Now, I'm going to transition back and forth between these two pages. I have a calculation sheet, and I also want you to have this. I do not want you to do the math all over your map because it's going to get messy. So grab another sheet of paper. And for this example, I'm going to do my safety parameter. You're going to write the equations of all 3 of your circles, but for this video, I'm only going to do one because it would be like 20 minutes long if I did all 3, okay? So let's recap. Down here, I've written the equation of a circle. There's 2 things that we need in order to fill out this equation. The first one is the center, and the second one is the radius, okay? So let's start off with our center first. So here on my piece of paper, I'm going to put down which circle I'm looking for because there's 3 and there's no way Miss Torres is going to know which one I'm talking about. And I'm going to write down center. Okay. So my safety parameter is this purple one right here. And I'm going to count how many tick marks it takes me to get to there. So 1, 2, oops, 3, 4, 5, you get the point. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, and unfortunately, this center right here is not on a nice tick mark of mine. Do you see that? So mine is 10 squares, and you can write this. 10 squares. And then on the next 3, I only have 2 filled in. Oops. So that's for my x, okay? For my y, hopefully it's on a nice tick mark. It is not on this one, but it is on this one. It is nicely at the second tick mark, okay? So 2 squares. Now I'm going to clean this one up. So this is 10, and since I have 2 out of the 3 squares filled in, it is 10 and 2/3 squares, okay? For my y, I have no fractions, luckily, so this is just 2 squares, okay? But remember that this is just a map, right? And we have a scale. I want the scaled numbers, okay? So remember that my scale is every 3 is 100 feet. These squares I'm talking about count for threes, okay? So I'm going to have to do, let me erase this real quick. I don't even know why I wrote that. I'm going to have to multiply these by 100 feet. So you're going to need the calculator for this. You might be saying, Ms. Torres, I don't know how to write 10 and 2/3 as on the calculator. Okay, I'll show you really quick. Let me find my calculator real quick. So if we think about it, 10 and 2/3 is 10 plus 2/3. So I need to find out what 2/3 is, okay? So I'm just going to do 2 divided by 3. So 2/3 is about 0.7. I'm going to round, okay? So here, 10 and 2/3 is equal to 10 plus 2/3. 2/3 is about 0.7. So that means that 10 and 2/3 is about 10.7. Okay. So 10.7 times 100 feet gives me 1,070 feet. So 1,070 feet. This is my x value. For my y value, I want to do the same. 2 times 100. That is 200. So this is my center, okay? Center's right here. You can also write it as 1070, comma 200. Whatever helps you identify best. All right, so we have center. The next thing we need is the radius. So I'm going to do radius. Nope, center I've been using red. Radius is purple. Okay. So if you remember, last time we had done my safety parameters 150 feet, right? Well, in case you don't remember, in case you didn't have a precise scale, or just to show you how to figure this out, I'm going to do it real quick, okay? So I'm just going to count how many squares it takes for me to get from the center to an outside point, okay? I'll choose this one. So right here I have 1, 2, and 3. I have 3 squares. So this means that this is 100 feet right here, right? Because I have 3. The next thing I have is 1 square. Nope. And then about 2 squares, right? Oh, I didn't make it all the way. So again, this is about 2/3 because I didn't make it all the way. So I need to figure out what 2/3 is of 100. So there's 2 ways to do this. You can either multiply, or you can figure out how much each square is, okay? So if 100 squares equals to 3, how much is each square worth? I'm just going to do 100 divided by 3. So it's about 33. So that means that this is 33 feet, this is 33 feet, this is 33 feet, 33, and 33. So you can either add these all up, or you can multiply. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I'm going to do this number times 5. So that means that with my scale, those 5 squares is equal to 166.7 feet. So if you notice, I did not do my circle very accurately, right? Because it was supposed to be 150 feet, and I accidentally added about another whole 17 feet. So I'm going to use that. I did 167 feet. So my radius is 167 feet. So I have the information that I need. Now I'm just going to plug it into my equation. So I have x minus my x term squared plus y minus my y term of my center squared equals 167 squared. Now, since these are really big numbers, I'm going to allow for you to leave it like this. I'm not going to make you do the 167 times 167 because you're going to get a very big number. So let's just leave it small and tiny for now. Oops. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to bring this down. And I'm going to circle this or block it so that Miss Torres knows that this is my final answer. And the second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write it over here. So if you notice, whoops, I already accidentally did it right here. But you would write down the equation of your circle right here, okay? And that is it. So you're going to do this for all 3 of your squares, okay? I believe in you. If you have trouble, you can raise your hand and holler at me. But besides that, have fun. And remember, be organized and be neat.